I'm planning a new series on creating a simple application with Angular and PocketBase. To prep for that, I wanted to give a general introduction to PocketBase and showcase some of its strengths before starting it. To start, open a browser to PocketBase.io. PocketBase, I think, is targeted more towards small-scale development. As you can see, it's open source, and I think it's a viable alternative to Supabase if you fit its target demographics. PocketBase was written in Go, while Supabase was written in TypeScript. It seems pretty snappy to me. I'm running it local, but the database is SQLite. It will have its limitations, but you might be surprised at what it can do for you. And let's face it, most side projects, they never reach 100 users, and this backend can handle that more easily if you don't do dumb things. Since PocketBase is an exe, it won't scale horizontally, only vertically. You can't add more servers if your performance hits the gutter. You can only fatten up the server it's running on. Still, I think it's a compelling offering for most personal, hobby, or side projects. Tapping out because you have too many users is a pretty good problem to have, I think. Besides, there's claims from the creators of PocketBase that it can service thousands of users on a $6 a month VM. Okay, so PocketBase gives you a database, security, file storage, and admin dashboard to manage it all, and cloud functions after a fashion. I'll be talking about most of these in the series, but for now, I just want to show you the basics. There's currently two different SDKs for PocketBase, a Dart SDK and a JavaScript SDK. Since JavaScript is JavaScript, it works with all the most popular frameworks, including these four: Svelte, Vue.js, React.js, and Angular. Click the Read Documentation button and let's get started. Find the download for you, x64 or ARM64, Linux, Windows, or Mac OS. I already have it downloaded and unzipped. In VS Code, I have an empty folder open named Task Mojo. PocketBase creates two different folders in whatever folder it's stored in, so I usually try to stick it in its own folder. So I'll create a new folder named PocketBase and then just drop the PocketBase exe in there. Next, we need a terminal window, and I'll cd to PocketBase. Then type in /PocketBase space serve. This will start the PocketBase server, and this will give us the ability to work with PocketBase with both a RESTful API and the admin UI. Control-click the admin UI link, and let's have a look around. The first account you create in PocketBase will be an admin, so give it an email and password and click the Create and Login button. Our first database table or collection in PocketBase terminology is created for us, users. On the left-hand side, we can see the major admin modules, which includes collections or database tables, logs, and settings. For now, let's focus on the collections, and let's start by creating a new user. I'm going to use the same email and password as my admin user. The admin user won't be logging into the app, and the app user won't be logging into the admin UI, but it just makes it simpler for me and for the demo. Make sure to click the verified toggle button. And here's your friendly reminder to like and subscribe. We post new videos often for software developers, software engineers, and software architects. Thanks. And next, let's create our first custom collection by clicking the New Collection button. And I'll name the new collection Tasks. By default, PocketBase creates these three fields in every collection: an ID string field and date fields for created and updated. When I click the New Field button, it gives us a chance to select the type of field that we need. So you can see text, number, bool, date, time, and others are all available. There is also a special relation field. We'll use it in the demo, but I really recommend staying away from it. It makes your queries and really your code hard to read and understand. And I think it's easy to forget that underneath all this is a SQL database, and you can enforce referential integrity through indexes and foreign keys. The relations data type it's just an unneeded complexity. I'll select plain text as the type and name the field task_name. We can configure this field with the gear icon at the right, and we definitely want this to be a required field, and I'll turn on presentable too. Presentable controls whether or not the field is shown in the admin UI collection view. I don't mind scrolling and usually want all of my fields to be shown. And I'll also give this field a max length of 500. We also need a Boolean field to use to track whether or not the task is complete. And I'll turn on presentable, but we don't want non-falsy. This is already a required field because it's a Boolean. It's not a nullable bool. Non-falsy requires a true value, and we don't want that. Our next field needs to tie back to our users table. So I'll create a relation field and name this one user and select the users collection. I also want this one to be non-empty and presentable. And that's it. Click the create button. Once the collection is created, we can go back and change it with the little gear icon at the top of the screen while viewing the collection. And we'll do that because we need to fix a few things. Click the API Rules tab, and we only want our users to be able to perform CRUD operations on their own data. And we can control that here. By default, only admins can perform any type of action against any collection. If you hover on the different rules available, you can see that we have to change the rules if we want the users to be able to see their data. When it comes to rules, most of the magic can be unlocked with the @ symbol. There's lots of options available, but I'll show you in a minute a few of those. What we're after right now is @request.auth.id. This is the user ID that is sent with each request to PocketBase using the PocketBase SDK. And we want that auth ID to match the user.id in our table. We want the same rule for our view rule. Actually, we want the same rule for all of our rules, so copy paste. Before clicking the save button though, let's look at the tips and documentation available for this, because at the start of using PocketBase, this can be a little bit confusing. Click the Show Available Fields button. It shows us a list of the fields in our collection and shows us some of the other ways that we can use to secure the APIs, like the @request or @collection options. It's pretty nifty. Next, let's have a peek at the developer documentation by clicking the All Rules Follow the PocketBase Filter Syntax and Operators link. This page tells you basically everything you need to know about creating those API rules. It goes much further in detail for this area than I'm going to go into, especially during an introductory video. Further down the page, it shows a list of the operators, which is pretty helpful. And as you can see, there are quite a few that you can use in your filters. So close this and we'll finally click the Save Changes button. Next, let's create a new task for our test user so that when we finally do start pulling back data in the next video, we won't have an empty list. My task name will be Take Buster to the Vet. Notice the ID field. As it says, if you leave it empty, PocketBase will auto-generate that field for you. That value will be a 15-digit alphanumeric string. Unless you have a really good reason to, I would just leave it like it is. Next, we need to relate the task to a user, so you click the Open Picker button and select our test admin user, and that's it. I really like PocketBase and I have a lot of hope for it. As I said, my next video will kick off the Using PocketBase and Angular to Build a Task Management Application series, so be sure to come back and watch it. If you enjoyed this video, you might like this one that talks about how to build a blockchain in C#. Until next time, keep coding.